Hello, welcome back to our creative videos. Today we are going to do a super easy quilt. It's a Japanese screen quilt. It's done with this pattern here. We'll let Pam go up. And there are actually two quilts on this particular pattern.
Sorry ladies.
We are doing version A. And so what is super cool about this particular quilt is that when you're working with it, and I just realized I hung it upside down, so when we pull it down, we'll be doing, you're going to basically be having rows of color and rows of solid to break up that color, to create that Japanese screen effect. And honestly, with this quilt, it is more about the organization. There's no matching up points or anything like that. So it's a super easy one to do. And we have gone completely off book when it comes to color. And I think it's a quilt that you could do that with. This is really elegant. In the pattern, they did basically kind of Asian themed fabric, and then had some grays and charcoals were the separating. We have actually got a line of fabrics that are succulents, and I, the gardener, love the succulents. It's fabulous. And so we have used those fabrics plus a grunge, and then when we did our solid, we also did a grunge in that position. So long as this isn't too busy, pretty much anything would work. Super elegant this way. However, I think you could really make it playful as well, because how cute would it be if you had little kids' prints or food fabric or something along that line. So super open for choosing your own fabrics type of pattern. So when I started out, you need to cut, in the cutting directions are in the pattern, but you will be cutting 7 different fabrics. So you're going to have for your actual color pieces, and then there will be an extra one for the background fabric. So when you're cutting them out, they're going to be cut into sections that are 2.5 inches wide, 4.5 inches wide, and 6.5 inches wide. They have varying lengths anywhere from 2.5, 4.5, 6.5, 8.5, and 12.5 and 16.5, I believe. So there's varying lengths. And so for me, when I started out on this project, I was like, let me go ahead and organize it by size on there. But I found really quickly that it's so much better to do it by color. So don't worry about like doing hyper marking on your how long they are. Simply break them down into color. And Pam, if you pan down, they can see kind of roughly what I did. So she labels her fabrics with letters. So this is A, B, C, D, E, F, and G.
Well done.
Okay, so I can do the alphabet to that point. So when you're looking at the rows, she gives you the size that the row is going to be, and then the color. And we are just going to be doing the last row because I've done all the other rows. And this row, it says row 13, uses 2.5 inch tall pieces. So when you're looking for your fabrics, you're only working with, basically what a jelly roll would be. So then you're going to come in and it's going to have a letter in a circle. So in the case of this, it was B. So you can see I have a B, 4.5. Okay. Then I had an F, 12.5. Then I had an H, and the H is your background fabric. So I had a 2.5 of that. Then I had an E that was 4.5, a C that was 16.5, an H again that was 2.5, and then a D, I can't read upside down.
I knew it was too good you knew your alphabet.
And then the last one is a 4.5 with G. So literally you just root through the piles, but it is so much easier to have them broken up into colors. So what we're going to do is we're going to join this. And just by the way, as a quick reference, because I did this over several nights, what I did is I took a clip and I simply put a clip beside the row that I was working. So it was much easier for me to come back to the project so that I didn't have to figure it all out again. All right. So we're going to come in and we're going to do our row. So I think I'll start from this side. We're going to come in. I didn't think to put a 1/4 inch on before I got started. See if we've got one in the drawer here. Could you grab one from the other drawer for me, Pam? Oh, never mind. I've got one. This will work. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pop that on. Let our machine know which foot we've got. And after that, everything is set up like normal. So we're just 1/4 inch seaming, certainly nothing exotic here. So we'll come in and we're going to sew our 1/4 inch seam. Come to the end, cut our thread, and then we're going to open up and we're going to move to the next one. So you can reference it. So when I'm coming in, I'm now looking for my H, which is the navy blue. We'll go ahead and pop that on. And literally you just work the rows. Well, it's not going to be happy with me. Let's try that again. We'll cut it and if you get a jam or flip it over so you're not restitching the same area from that side. And we are good. All right, there's our H. Our next piece is going to be our C. So we're going to bring that in. I found this really, really relaxing to do. I probably pieced the main body of the quilt over a couple of nights, but super, super simple, very relaxing, pretty non-thinking once you had it laid out. And we're back to our H. And we have our F. And our last one, which is our B. All right, so at that point, we've got this great strip going along. We're going to press it in any direction that you would like. I would not take the time to press it open. I would just press it if you have maybe more of a leaning towards a dark fabric. So I'll just go ahead and do that, and I'll be right back. All right, all nice and flat. I pressed it from the right side just so that I'm not going to get any accordion pleats. You can kind of double check that before you get started. All right, so that is our strip, our colored strip that we are going to put onto there. we now need a separating strip, which is going to be our navy blue. So in the directions, she gives you very specific measurements for doing this. I found that all I did is I took a 45-inch wide, and then I took a second 45-inch wide and cut it in half on the fold. So I had a 45 and a 22, excuse me. And we're going to, hey, watch the math. Watch the math comment. And we're going to go ahead and sew these together. The only thing that you need to be concerned with is that you don't want to have your salvages in the quilt. So make sure that you're well away from your salvage. All right, and then we're going to trim away our salvage, and we're going to go ahead and we are going to press that. So this is actually going to be a little bit longer than I actually need, but we're just going to take the lazy way and trim it up as we go along. All right, so now I need to get my quilt, which is hung upside down. Oh, actually, I did have it right side up. Look at that.
Never mind.
Well, we can always double check it here. So we have G, that is 16. No, we had it upside down.
You had it upside down?
Yeah. Just make sure you're putting it on the right end, right?
Yep.
All right.
And right sides together.
And right sides together, yes. So what we're going to do with our long piece, so for every row that we are going to do that has the piecing to it, we are going to insert this 2.5-inch piece of navy blue. So she didn't draw that on, which I thought was actually very helpful because it made it so that it wasn't confusing for the piecing. And so because I have not cut it to the exact length that she did in the pattern, I am simply going to take and I'm going to put a little bit over the end. That way I can get rid of my salvage edges. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to stitch this on. And the reason why I did this is oftentimes if I cut it to exact, you know, I might be a 1/4 inch too short as I'm piecing it along. And so this way you're not having to do a lot of fudging, and certainly you're not having to do, you know, seam ripping.
Seam ripping, ooh.
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
Do the succulent fabrics only come in this color, or do they come in?
It does actually, we do actually have some that are more what I would consider true to life colors.
Okay.
But when we were picking for this, we really wanted it to be more of a, within a color family.
Mm-hmm. Gorgeous.
So we picked the, you know, if you look at a color wheel, you've got blue, green, and purple all on that one side of the color wheel. And anytime you do that, you're going to get a really harmonious quilt. Okie doke. So we have our piece, and you can see that we have a little bit extending. So I'm going to take this over to the ironing board, and I'm just going to press this towards the blue fabric. you are doing this method, this is where trimming up becomes important. If I were to just go ahead and start sewing the next row on, then I might not have it lined up, and you might get a situation where the quilt kind of goes at a diagonal. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a rotary ruler, we're going to line it up straight along the edge, we're going to line a line up in the seam of the quilt, and we'll trim off that end. So we got rid of our salvage edge. And I'm going to come over, and we're going to come over to this side. And we'll trim up on that side. So that way our quilt is not going to be growing and doing funky things.
Yeah, like me when I crochet.
Well, you can crochet, so I can't say anything. All right, so now we're looking at the bottom of the quilt. We have our 4.5-inch strip right on top, so we know that we've got it the correct way. We're then going to come in, and I'm going to find my B fabric. And my B fabric is the succulent, and I know that because I can look at the pile. So I'm going to take and pop that on that end. And we're just going to line her up. And so we'll sew this one on. So this whole quilt is just one piece row, one blue row, one piece row, one blue row.
And it's great, you really don't have to match any seams.
There's no quilt tacks.
Yay!
It's very, very relaxing. No corners to line up. The only true organization that I've done with it is I have taken, and every time I pressed towards that dark blue. And that way, if you plan on doing something like stitching in the ditch, then your ditches will be consistent. So like if I was going to do stitching in the ditch, I could do, you know, I'll always know that I'm going to be sewing on the flowered part. Because if you're pressing towards that blue, that's creating the high side. So we want to come in and we want to stitch right along the edge.
You're going to go to the dark side.
Well, to the low side, if you're quilting in the ditch.
No, but when you're pressing.
But yes. Yes, very much so. And that would be something to take into account. So let's say that you did do like a bunch of bright kids stuff. And instead of doing black, you decided, okay, I'm going to do white. Or a white on, you know, black on white print or something like that. Because that always sets colors super nicely. So if you have that situation, then, you know, press appropriately. All right. So we're coming to the bottom. We're going to press to the blue, and then all we have to do is flip the ends, and we are done.
So again, when you're pressing on this one, you're pressing towards the...
I'm still pressing towards the blue. I maintain that all the way through.
Got it.
So once again, we'll line this up. Lining up the ruler against the edge of the quilt, lining up the ruler against the seam, and then we will go ahead and clip that extra and do the same thing on the other edge. Nice. All right, I'm going to pull back. And so you can see our Japanese screen.
That is really, really pretty.
Super, super fun to do. So as you're working with it, don't be limited by the color on the pattern, because this is a quilt that you could truly do in any color. I hope you enjoyed this, and we'll see you next time.